Well, thank you very much, Gregor, and thank you to all the participants. I've had a fantastic afternoon, and still, even after 10 years at EuroCommerce, have learned a lot from our members. I really also appreciate that we've had a very good exchanges with the European Commission, with William Neal and Christine Schreiber, whom I really wanted to thank you for their engagement. I hope all of you who have been participated, and we had by the last count 150 registered participants. So I think that is in itself as a major success, and certainly a record participants from the wholesale and retail community, because at the end of the day, we are one family, even though the retailers are serving direct consumers and customers, and our wholesalers friends are serving business customers, but we are all in the distributive trade and providing added value. And I hope this day has enabled really to lift the veil, as the ambitions of the title said it, to lift the veil on the somewhat unknown wholesale sector, and giving you a really clear perspective on how the wholesale sector is very much at the center of the European economy, which is also the title of a recent report we did on wholesale. And we're at the center of Europe. Wholesale is at the center of Europe's economy, not only because it is represented by more than 10 million enterprises, indeed many micro enterprises and small and medium enterprise by the majority, not only because it provides employment to more than 10 million people, not only because it is responsible for indeed 5% of employment and more than 600 billion euro of added value, as our president Regis said at the very beginning, and these are hard facts and in themselves an important contribution, but also because, and this is very much what we have heard from the panels, how very much the wholesale sectors and the individual enterprises are at the core also of serving Europeans, serving European industries, European customers, and also part of the digital and green transition. A few things that are very essential for because between the manufacturing sector and the business customers, there is a lot of added value in between, in terms of storage, in terms of, as we heard from Jan Krückemeier, in terms of integrating some of the fine-tuned, tailored, manufacture for the end customers, in terms of, providing very rapid delivery, 2.5 hours on average for any pharmaceuticals. We heard from, from Bernd Grabner. I mean, this is quite amazing, and that is actually the added value of the agility and the services, provided by the wholesalers. We also heard that despite all the talks of disintermediation and direct selling, which indeed is happening in pharmaceutical, is happening in a number of other areas in electrical material, I was struck by Philippe Delpech's point, which says that roughly it's 1/3 direct sales by the industry, by the manufacturers, and 2/3 going through a specialized distribution channel like wholesale. And he was saying that despite digitalization, despite the changes and the evolution, that sort of 2/3, 1/3 is there to stay, and has been there for a long time, and that is also, I think, an important element which shows the value of the wholesale industry and the wholesale businesses. I was also very interesting to hear the examples, and Dorothee Arns particularly highlighted the great examples from the chemical wholesalers, and how the sector is participating in the circular economy, in circular approach, having certain initiatives there, and whereby even the chemical sector, I think, which is not always one that you would think immediately in terms of circularity, but is engaged in some of those issues, and participating in collecting used chemicals and enabling to have those having 5, 6 different lives. I mean, I used to work in the paper and packaging industry. I will also say that in the paper, can have a number of cycles still being used, and that is the examples that that FACC was highlighting. I want to, as I mentioned, FACC want to particularly thank our partners that were engaged with us in organizing and setting up this program. Of course, most notably BGA and Gregor Wolf, but also the EU, the Electrical Wholesalers Union, EU, EW, FACC, and GIRP, the pharmaceutical wholesalers who joined us recently, and I think I can probably also associate our Finnish ETU Wholesale Member Association was also represented here today on the panel, who have really helped actually making the case for wholesale. My third point is indeed what Gregor also asked all the panelists in terms of what do we need from the regulators and from the EU in particular. And on the panel on the circular economy, we heard loud and clear a need for further harmonization in terms of definitions, in terms of what do we mean by circular economy, what do we mean by a secondary product, further harmonization and standardization in the waste legislation. Again, I was struck by the example given by Dorothee Arns on Denmark and its 98 municipalities, even for countries very well organized with but only 5 million people with 98 municipalities. And even there, like everywhere in Europe, you have very different ways of collecting waste, and therefore is also a barrier to arrive at significant scale in creating secondary material and a full circular economy industry. So that is one point where clearly message to the European Commission. Another that we heard at the panel just recently is when you deal with open strategic economy, and yes, we need to look at dependencies. There's probably a need to repatriate or making sure that we have certain dependency on we avoid some dependency on critical materials within European Union. But that we also keep open trade, because at the end of the day, security of supplies is by ensuring the diversity of suppliers. And even if we would have had, I always use this example, full manufacturing of paracetamol, of masks within Europe, with the huge demand, Europe would not have been able to satisfy all the demand that was there. Same for respirators and other devices when we're dealing with a huge crisis. Therefore, keeping trade open is very important within the single market, of course, first and foremost, but also more globally on an international basis. So that is also something that is very important. And we heard loud and clear, please avoid gold plating. If you have legislation at the European level, make sure that your legislation is fit for purpose. That's what the REFIT program was intended to do. And that gold and member states refrain from indeed adding additional requirements that actually are breaking up the single market in a fragmented landscape of very diverse, or sometimes very diverse and different national legislation. So that was basically my take of the afternoon, and I hope you have enjoyed that. These sessions have been recorded, so please go on our website. When you go EuroCommerce Policy Talks, you can find and watch again, pass it on to your colleagues who have not been able to attend today and where you found it interesting. Let me, just by concluding, thank all the speakers and the moderators, and of course, starting en tout bien, tout honneur, with our friends from the European Commission, William Neal and Christine Schreiber. Also all our members, Dorothee Arns, Thierry Munier, despite the difficulties in connecting and things happening in his life, made the effort to be part of it and share his insights from Nexus Automotive. Salamari Mihonen from Finland, Bernd Grabner from GIRP, Clara Salarit from Metro, Robert Speth from Jekle Chemie, and of course Gregor Wolf, our dear Vice President from the BGA, and my colleague Christelle Delberg, who I really want to thank specifically, who together with the members of her team, Laura Mack, who is in charge of wholesale at EuroCommerce, and also Vincent Iuelo and Rémi Guastali in our communication, who made all this this program a reality, a very nice program. And despite the fact that this is happening online, I thought was a very lively discussion. So on that note, thank you all very much for having listened and participating in this session. I wish you all a good evening, and please continue to follow us on our wholesale activity in EuroCommerce. Thank you very much.